Look at the monsters we've become. 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 monsters we've become. Look at the 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 monsters we've become.
Side. those sage walls to cut off elbow and to cut off most of the site on A to get that plant down are really, really valuable. So it'll be interesting to see how both of these teams navigate that. Additionally, even though we have two initiators coming out for South Alabama, it looks like King's Navy is favoring a breach on bind instead of a Sky or a Sova that we would normally see for this map. Let's jump right into it. Like last week, we have a Neon. That's really interesting. But the Neon last week was kind of a threat, so I don't want to say anything negative about that. It really depends on who the character is in the hands of. It looks like South Alabama is starting off on that attacking side that they love so much. We've seen the most that we've seen from South Alabama is their attacking side, where we see that they really, really pressure points from both lanes, and their 5-mans are just absolutely deadly. Looks like they'll be stacking B though. There. Opting to put Sage and Neon and Breach all on this site, so it'll be interesting to see how South Alabama does on Pencil Round against a sack site. Getting right into it, we see the standard raise coming out, clearing out Hookah. The Sky Dog clearing out Elong, and they're already getting ready to entry, not even 10 seconds into the round. We see a trade coming out. They haven't picked out this Sage yet. I wonder if she'll be caught out when that Viper wall goes down or not. And just 3 men sitting there waiting for that wall to go down to take her out. Mando getting the pick on the Breach and elbow. Remaining. Also the pick on Sova. 1 HP, Omen, 1v5 clutch. Oh, this isn't looking very good for Omen, but he gets Viper mollied and goes down. First round to South Alabama. That was very, very quick. We can just see how quick South Alabama commits to the site and just full pushes through, no matter what kind of defense strategy that King's Navy has. South Alabama is just going to keep pushing, taking those sites very, very quickly, denying any ability for the team to have time to rotate towards that site, and just completely dominating. Looks like we're getting the same stack towards B site that we saw last, but they're fighting for hookah control this time. But South Alabama is looking towards that A site, pushing through both showers and A short. Omen's able to delay that push a little bit on short with that blind, and then get that smoke out. Raises zoning off U-Haul, getting ready to satchel in. Completely catching that Neon off guard. Sage with King's Navy is able to get a pick on speed. Mando able to take out the Breach, and Nerve able to take out the Sova. Rand's able to trade out that Sage, and again, leaving Omen up to clutch. Incredible shot by King A and BAT on Lord Rand. He's going to reposition up towards Heaven to try and re-peek. Mando already suspects it coming, and go ahead and cuts off the Heaven peek. Looks like a pretty impossible situation for Omen here, but a good eco round coming out for King's Navy, as they've gotten 2 Spectres off of this, and maybe even a third if Omen's able to pick up one more. It looks like he won't go for it. South Alabama will keep those guns, and Omen will be able to save his Spectre into the next round. It's another round for South Alabama. Now this is the round where eco starts to get a little bit interesting. We'll most likely see South Alabama decide to bonus the Spectres and guns that they gathered from last round and aim towards buying for the next round, as we see Rand opting to go for a Sheriff and Light Shields, and Speed just sticking with that Ghost. But interestingly enough, in King's Navy, normally teams fully buy up here. You know, they buy their Phantoms, they buy their full armor, but we're seeing a lot of Spectres. Only Neon with that Phantom. Looks like more of a default coming out from South Alabama here. but leaning more towards that B side with 3 players. Bombs down behind Killjoy on A short.
I'm out of here.
Looks like Speed's trying to bait this Neon to peek. That Raze nade absolutely putting in some work. I think the better choice for that Neon there would have just been to give up that long and go ahead and go through teleporter, but Speed will pick up their Phantom and take out the Sage on site, but there's still 3 players holding down this B side against South Alabama.
Last player standing.
Leaving just Sova in a 1v5 clutch. He will get Fade, but he'll be able to get Speed as well. The Karomi comes in and closes out this round and finalizes it for South Alabama's favor. Normally we'll see a 2-1 here just because the losing team at that point going ahead and buying up the Phantoms, but we saw King's Navy opt more towards a safer buy, and this round they'll find themselves struggling for economy again, deciding most of them for saving. We have some Ghosts, but we also have a Vandal coming out on Sova. Meanwhile, South Alabama tends to go more towards the typical approach. We have Ram just bonusing that Spectre, and others going ahead and buying up. We don't have a default this round, instead more of a typical A push, half the players in that short and half the players towards that Showers position. King's Navy starting to play a little bit farther back side. I think they're deciding not to give those early picks to South Alabama and instead trying to play that objective, denying that bomb plant. All 5 players of King's Navy now are on this A site. Mando and Speed able to get those first picks. Speed now holding Heaven against this Neon.
1 enemy remaining.
Mando and Nerve with additional picks of their own, leaving Neon up in this 1v4 clutch. This is a tough situation. I mean, there's not very much he can do here to win the objective, but he can try and get a few guns out of South Alabama's hands. But it looks like Speed's getting a little greedy, going for this kill, trying to go ahead and take out this Neon. And he will be successful. 4-0 in South Alabama's favor. If I was King's Navy right now, I would definitely call a timeout, kind of try and assess, you know, what's working, what's not working. They made slight adjustments already, which is nice to see. They've noticed that South Alabama is kind of explosive on their attacking half. They much so prefer to just explode out of these sites all at once in a coordinated fashion. So they've decided to play a little bit farther back on site to deny that objective and delay the push a little bit more, but just have to find something until it works. Keep trying different things. Looking at a B hit this time, Sage goes ahead and walls off that hookah, but it's quickly destroyed by Speed. Neon in a little cheeky position, but choosing to go towards the more safer option and elbow. We have a Raze ult coming out, but I don't know if he'll be able to get one with it. 3 of King's Navy's members back in CC, Neon in that elbow.
Spike planted.
South Alabama's able to get the bomb down. King's Navy now in a 3v4, 2v4 situation now with Tyler getting that pick onto the Neon.
Last player standing.
They're able to get a pick onto a breach, leaving Omen in another 1v4 situation. Tyler aggressively holding that peek into elbow. Not able to get the pick initially. Gets the pick onto Mando quite quickly, but Tyler's able to shut it down and secure the round for South Alabama. We look at the scoreboard now that we see that Speed is 8-3 and Mando is 6-1. 5-2, 4-1, and 1-0. It seems like South Alabama is just comfortable now. Looks like attacking is definitely where their home is. It's where they excel at, and I just think King's Navy doesn't have an idea of how to combat this quite yet. Maybe adjusting that Sage wall, getting more of that breach util to delay those explosive pushes.
Time to hunt.
It's looking like another B hit. The standard, we see the Sky Dog coming up long and the Rays pushing to clear that hookah. We have 4 players from King's Navy now on that B site, trying to hold down, playing any kind of space they can, but Sage will go down to Tyler, peeking from long. And Tyler will also take down the breach, but it does appear that Omen has teleported to A site, while Neon sneaks up through this elbow, trying to get any off-guard players. I'm struggling a little bit with this KJ turret here. Looks like USA is now aware that they have an opposing player in that elbow position. It looks like they're kill chasing him. South Alabama's really pushing to destroy their eco as much as possible, trying to not allow these players to save those high value guns for the next round, but Speed will not be successful as Neon is able to catch that free pick on them and save their Bulldog into the next round. At this point, we're 6-0 in favor of South Alabama. Their attacking half is just an absolute powerhouse, I have to say. Even when there's, 4 or 5 of King Navy's players on the side, it seems like they can still catch that ground and get those early picks to be able to get on site, get that bomb down, and play that objective to the last second. I'm not even sure if King's Navy has been able to begin defusing the bomb, less so deny a site long enough to cause South Alabama to rotate. But now it looks like they're trying something a little bit different. They're putting Omen in that hookah position, and it absolutely works out as Omen is able to get a pick onto Viper. South Alabama's smokes are now down on their attacking side, but Speed is able to gain some space towards A, able to get an initial pick, but being traded out by that Sova quite quickly. This is a change that we were looking for. We're now in an equivalent 3v3 situation. South Alabama is being forced to rotate away from that B side onto A as Sage gets an incredible pick onto Tyler. South Alabama down in numbers now. All 3 King's Navy players are on this A site that they're trying to hit, and they have res available. It's not looking good for South Alabama. Looks like Sage and Omen are worried about that rotate and are switching over towards that B side. And Sova's going to rotate towards B side too. But South Alabama is just shift walking up onto this A site. And they'll get it for free. Looks like they're very, very aware that King's Navy players could be anywhere at this point. Sage able to hear that bomb going down and call it to the rest of their team. And they begin re-rotating over to that retake. I'm excited to see how these new players onto South Alabama's roster, Nerve and Kuromi, both try and handle this clutch situation against 3 other players. Looks like they're choosing to play off one another in that U-Haul as opposed to a more stable position in short. Omen will pick off Kuromi, leaving Nerve in a 1v3 scenario. He's able to get that first pick, but quickly traded off by that Sova. And we get a round for King Navy. Excellent round. This is what I was talking about. Make those small changes. Ask yourself, how can we combat South Alabama's explosive push? And I think it all really snowballed off of that initial Omen blind. Able to get that first pick and just quickly shut down that hookah push. And South Alabama had to completely rotate from that. Looks like we have a Fade ult and a KJ ult up for South Alabama. We still have that Sage res for King Navy as well as a Neon ult and a Breach ult. We're only 2 points away from another Raze ult this half. I'm excited to see how they'll use this utility to try and change the pace and momentum of the game. Got a Sky Dog coming out, clearing sight, but they still have no idea what's going on in that U-Haul position. Able to get that first pick. Oh my goodness! Being able to get that first pick, but quickly traded by Sova, who gets 2 in return. Equal number situation now, as Mando is able to get 2. Put it towards South Alabama's favor. Sova still being unchecked in this U-Haul position, but USA
One
land
enemy
is
remaining.
holding them and able to get that pick off, and now we see Omen in a 1v3 situation with the judge. I'm not sure he'll be able to do much with this judge, but it was a very well fought round by Kings Navy. Yeah, so we see them improve and be able to read South Alabama's players a little bit more.
Blinding.
Brings out that blind, but is quickly placed in a crossfire and taken out by Mando. Excellent round by South Alabama. Still haven't quite seen that those initiator ults coming out within Breach and Fade respectively. I'm also interested to see when South Alabama will use that KJ ult. It seems like they don't have much trouble getting onto sites, but maybe to delay the retake, South Alabama will decide to use that KJ ult. Looking like a B push here, the split between players on Hookah and Wong. Able to get that initial pick on the Omen, only leaving one player left on that B site. Speed deciding to raise ult in, but missing it slightly. But don't worry, his nade has his back, getting that player off back site, and the raise ult getting that Neon. He's able to spray transfer from Breach onto Sova. Absolutely wonderfully played by Speed. He's able to not only create that space, but get an incredible amount of picks on the way. He's 15 and 6 now. 3 points towards his next ult as well. Looks like Kings Navy, 4 out of their 5 players still have their ults. I'm really wanting to see Kings Navy start to use the ults to delay those pushes and to delay that bomb plant entirely. This Breach seems to be consistently playing this A short hold. Fighting with the raise bot a little bit there. Hey, if you get it, you get it though. That's what matters. Speed deciding to last pack in here, but getting quickly picked off by that Neon holding his teammates back. Oma deciding to TP into showers. Sage was able to get 2 amazing picks onto South Alabama's player, and Kings Navy is in an advantage now.
Spike planted.
Only Kuromi was left, but Omen's able to close it out, and that's what I was talking about. Omen able to TP into that showers position, got him 2 free picks on unexpected players from South Alabama, and Sage as well with those incredible picks from Heaven just really sealed the deal for this team. We're looking at a 2-8 half here. I wonder if we'll get the infamous 9-3 half. It's looking like we still have 3 players from each team with those ults. We're really holding on to them, especially that Sage resurrection. I mean, at this point, we've gone through 10 rounds of the game. That Sage res is quite an expensive ultimate as compared to the others, but you still want to aim towards about at least 2 Sage reses per half. And that pacing is a little thrown off now. Speed able to get that initial pick onto the Breach. Neon trying to hide from the Skydog, but just barely won't be successful in it. Repositioning towards that triple position, but that nade is already there from Speed. Speed able to get that final pick onto the Neon, and Rand able to trade a...
Spike down A.
It's looking like Omen in another 1v4 situation. These picks are happening very fast with how absolutely explosive South Alabama is onto these sites. Poor Omen. Poor Omen for Kings Navy. He's just all the pressure on him in these impossible circumstances. It's like Tyler's trying to get a quick 360, but Mando's able to spot Omen out of place and go ahead and bag this round in favor of South Alabama.
Last round before the switch.
I'm rooting for Kings Navy this round. I really want to see a 9-3 half from them. But it looks like, although South Alabama has quite a cushy economy here, Kings Navy is not quite as fortunate with most of their players not being able to afford that full buy. But we do see Omen with an interesting decision with that Odin. Looks like South Alabama has 4 ults. Last round of the half, I expect every single member of South Alabama's team to bring out those ults. Amazing Omen blind, but he just didn't quite expect more than one player to be there. Neon decided to use her ult, able to get a first pick on Kuromi. Hopefully he recognizes that there's another player there, and he does, and decides to fake the reposition. Nerve able to get an initial pick onto Sova, but Breach is fighting back, says you cannot come onto this site. It's an incredible Breach ult. South Alabama will decide to instead rotate towards this A site, which King's Navy has just entirely given up, and deciding instead to full rotate towards that B. Kind of catch the hint though and start rotating towards that A position. We do get that Viper ult coming out and the Silva ult for King's Navy. Doesn't quite tag anybody, but it got quite close. Rand able to get a pick onto that flanking Neon. A 3v3 situation, even numbers, even shots for both teams, but that Viper ult makes the retake so much harder on King's Navy. South Alabama just playing that clock, not giving King's Navy any free picks. Ooh, but Breach entering the Viper ult and getting a pick anyways. Rand able to shut one down, Mando getting one with the molly, and there's just no time left for the Sage. We did end up seeing a Sage resurrection this half though. That's what's important to me. We did use that Sage res. And as well that Breach ult. I was really hoping that Breach ult would have a very big impact, and we see that it did. It was one of those few circumstances that South Alabama was forced to rotate. But it looks like we're sitting at a 10-2 half in South Alabama's favor. We saw how strong their attacking half is. Now let's see if their defense side is strong enough to at least get 3 rounds on King's Navy. Just looking from a player perspective, I mean, Speed 18-8, Rand 13-4, and Mando 12-3. Those are just some absolutely dominating players in this game. They're just leaving no crumbs for the rest. Mando deciding to play a little aggressive in the showers. Wonder if he'll be thrown off by this Omen blind, and he will, but he won't quite get picked off. Omen in a very aggressive but vulnerable position all the way at on site without the rest of his team. And Speed will notice that and decide to pick him on. Speed with an incredible headshot onto the Neon as well. Breach able to get Nerd, but quickly traded out by Kuromi. Now just leave Sova in this 1v3 scenario. Speed able to pick him out and get some quick damage, leaving him at 8 HP in this clutch. It's not looking good for King's Navy on their pistol round, I won't lie, but Speed is able to close out the round and get that last pick onto their Sova. It's a good pistol round coming from South Alabama. Typically on the second round, after you lose pistol round, you do kind of see players tending to save all their money to be able to full buy next round. But when you're down 2-11, I think that's really the time you take a risk in that second round and decide to buy up and force against South Alabama's force, which you see here with 4 players deciding to go with those Spectres and Speed with his infamous Bulldog. Mando again going for an aggressive push into showers, but it looks like King's Navy has decided to wait for South Alabama to try and get aggressive, but very smart Skydog coming out from Rand, trying to identify where these players might be hiding. But South Alabama having none of it, they're deciding to hold their ground and hold objectives instead of pushing forward and getting greedy for those kills. Rand kind of searching around the map, trying to flank, find those players' locations. And he will very shortly, but he'll be caught out by Bruno. Being able to get 2 picks in return though, evening out numbers a wee bit. Oh, 3v4 situation. Kings Navy really needs to decide on a site to hit. They only have 40 seconds left to get that bomb down.
One enemy remaining.
Mando pushing out of that
Spike
shower's
down
position
A.
to take 2 of their players down. And leaving Omen in
30
just yet
seconds
another
left.
1v4 situation. But I don't believe that South Alabama will be expecting him to come from this CT position. He may be able to get a couple players off guard, but Karomi's spider senses are tingling and he's able to spot Omen quite quickly, and I don't think South
10
Alabama will
seconds
have
left.
very many problems winning this round, as
Predicted this.
Kings Navy only has a couple seconds left to get that bomb down and only one man to do it.
Match point.
South Alabama now at match point. I wonder if they'll buy up or decide to go safe here and bonus appropriately like we would typically do. We do see Kings Navy deciding to go ahead and buy up fully. We do see more Vandals this third round than we did compared to the third round of last half, which I'm very excited to see. And I hope those guns will be enough of an advantage for Kings Navy to go ahead and take this round. Looking like a 5-man push towards B Long against Lone Tyler with a Sheriff in a Dream. But now we may be able to see just how powerful Karomi's Killjoy can be on denying any kind of entrance onto that B site. It's looking like we do have 3 players from South Alabama on this B site, and we see Mando taking that space up onto A short, just in case they do decide to rotate. And this is something interesting about South Alabama's team composition. They tend to go towards those double initiators to be able to take sites quickly, but also just to deny these pushes on that defense side. Speed with some incredible trigger discipline, able to get 2 quite quickly. Almost getting that third. I don't think they'll anticipate Mando coming from behind them. Silva now in a 1v3 situation, but Karomi's nade just closes that out. And it looks like this first game is going in favor of the University of South Alabama. GG's. It looks like for map 1 we have 13-2 in favor of South Alabama on Bind. So it was a really interesting game, I think. We see a lot of just incredible plays coming out from Speed and Tyler, who are on top of our leaderboard here. Speed being 25-9 with 4 first bloods. And Tyler, or Lord Rand as well, with 4 first bloods, 14-7. But we can't pass up Mando with only 3 deaths and 15 kills on a controller as well. Very, very impressive. So I do think in sorts this cannot be called quite of a close game. Bind is one of South Alabama's strongest maps, especially starting on that attacking half with how much they've perfected their team coordination with being able to just push both lanes at one time and really, really put the stress onto those defenders, having to check multiple corners and different lanes. Just it's almost impossible to counter that, and Kings Navy just was not able to find a solution quickly enough. Does look like we'll be moving into our next map quite quickly here, which I'll be honest, I can't remember what the next map is. I believe it is Ascent, but do not quote me on that because it probably isn't.
We're gonna use the bathroom.
But I'm
really quick.
interested
We'll
to
be right
see
back.
on how Kings Navy might change their strategy a little bit more on different maps, or if, you know, this was a fluke. South Alabama's favorite map and most dominating map, of course, is Bind, but maybe Kings Navy has something up their sleeve for different maps that South Alabama just isn't as prepared for. I will give Kings Navy credit where it is due, and one thing that I did notice that I liked as compared to games that we saw previously this season is teams can get really, really caught up in the strategies that they talk about during practices and strat reviews, and they stick to them to a T, But Valorant really is one of those games where you have to adapt to your opponent and really capitalize on the mistakes that they make in their strategies. And that is something that we saw King's Navy doing quite frequently. Most notably that we saw is the change with moving that Omen towards that B site to be able to bring that blind out from Hookah, just completely denying that really, really fast push and claiming a space that South Alabama did with that Raze bot, which I really, really liked. And I liked seeing King's Navy make those quick decisions to change their strategy a little bit to better accommodate and capitalize off of South Alabama's mistakes. But South Alabama came right back at it, changing their strategy slightly and being able to adapt quite quickly to King's Navy's decisions, just deciding to completely rotate off to a different site. And King's Navy's rotations were quick and they were strong. You would typically see all 5 members of their team on just one side on the defender, so when South Alabama did decide to make those rotations, they tended to get the other side just completely for free with those late rotations coming back towards the other site. Yeah, GG's regardless. It was a very interesting and exciting game, and it was really, really nice to see all of these players really showing us why they're here, especially with Mando showing us his flanking abilities. I didn't talk about it much during the game itself, but I'll talk about it now. Mando really, really able to capitalize off of those timings, catching those players off guard constantly and just getting behind them to secure quick rounds for South Alabama. And we'll be back quite shortly after this break.
Look at the monsters we've become. Look at the monsters we've become.
back into game 2. It looks like I wasn't mistaken, and our next map is Ascent. We do see Speed coming out on his infamous Jet. I know he is way more comfortable in Jet than he is his Raze, which is very terrifying considering his performance last game. We see a new member from South Alabama coming in, USA Project, deciding to hover on that chamber. I'm wondering if we'll see a double Sentinel on Ascent instead of South Alabama's normal double Initiator pick. But we look over to King's Navy's composition. We did have 2 Phoenixes for a moment there, but now we're looking at 2 Breaches. Seems like they're still trying to figure out who's playing what. But we will get a lot coming in for USA Karomi on that KJ that we saw him play last game on Bind. We know that he can hold down those sites, and I anticipate that we'll see a lot of him on B site during their defending half. It's looking like we might actually get an Astra coming out from South Alabama. Astra is a interesting pick that we haven't seen very frequently after the recent, I can't even say recent anymore actually, pretty old nerfs to Astra's character. But King's Navy will decide to go with a more typical Brim. But it looks like they're deciding to go double Initiator this time, while South Alabama goes for that double Sentinel play. But we do see 2 KOs on both teams, though, so I'm interested to see how useful they will be at shutting down utility and really delaying those pushes. And it looks like South Alabama will be starting out on their attacking side again. We can see just how explosive they are on Bind from the last game, but I wonder if that carries over into Ascent, where you have these, you know, longer corridors for defenders to peek out from and gain space and fight a little bit more effectively than we can see on Bind, where defenders tend to stay outside of that B-long area, maybe in that garden, or just simply holding from one site. And it looks like South Alabama is quickly gravitating towards this initial A push, looking like some players deciding to go up Cat through with Asha, smoking off that mid peak as well as that tree area and Heaven. You see KJ clearing that A main, just denying anyone who wants to peek with that KJ turret, and South Alabama will just completely go up Cat and gain tree for free already on site. Speed able to get that initial pick on Sage and Heaven, and already bomb is going down. Defenders are scuttling towards that A site, trying to gain control again. Able to take out Speed with that aggressive Heaven peek, but
Right here.
will they be traded out? It doesn't look like it. KO immediately dropping down, deciding to take out Romy quite quickly. And we will see them start defusing. Mando getting 2 picks from defenders.
One enemy remaining.
Lord Ran able to get the player off of bomb quite quickly. Jet with an incredible headshot onto Mando. On a 1v2 situation, and Lord Ran able to shut it down first round in South Alabama's favor. We're seeing that both of these teams are kind of quick in their decisions. They're not really playing for those initial picks or those taking space strategies. Instead, just trying to play off one another, really trade out players. They're both very explosive. In King's Navy side, in terms of those retakes, they tend to give site as a team and retake as a team quite quickly. In South Alabama, trying to completely take site as fast as they can altogether. Looks like Breach might try and delay this B push with some utility, trying to hear any kind of sound cues he can, but South Alabama just shifting up, sneaking through this B main. Breach is going to have his utility taken away, however, by KO. Quite slow here, but Speed able to catch Breach off guard. That bomb going down. Numbers are currently in South Alabama's favor, and especially after that secondary pick from Sage. Another onto their Jet.
Last player standing.
And just one more onto Brim, but Lord Rand stealing his ace. deciding to take out his double instead. Ugh. I know Speed is a little mad at that one, but I think he'll survive. Still an incredible play by South Alabama, able to get those picks quite quickly, able to get bomb, not getting too aggressive by pushing out of that CT area, but still able to get their picks. And Kings Navy not able to even tap that bomb, but they certainly show an improvement from last game. We see that they're putting up much more of a fight against South Alabama. They're having to take it a little bit slower, especially with that breach stun coming in, but not quite getting any value as South Alabama's able to quite easily avoid it. But that breach stun and KO knife coming in, able to identify multiple players and just delay the push entirely. South Alabama needs to be careful of that Sage working up mid, but not to a worry. Rand is expecting that, able to get the pick quite quickly. We see some Vandals spraying through smoke, which is a little interesting. But South Alabama able to take this A site quite for free. As I said last game, it seems like Kings Navy really focuses on pushing together as a team. Those retakes are done together, those site takes are all done together, and the only con to that is South Alabama rotates quickly enough. They tend to get this opposing site just for free. Looks like they're just holding here, being quite safe, not deciding to peek that heaven, and it looks like Kings Navy is just waiting for a player to peek them. I decided to try and get onto site through this heaven position, but being quickly just delayed entirely by South Alabama. They'll decide to save this round. Mando and Speed getting caught in the bomb, unfortunately. So now we're looking at 3-0 in South Alabama's favor, but it looks like those players will decide to buy up here. They will have enough for next round with the exclusion of Rand buying an op on KO, which he quickly switches back to a Vandal, thankfully. But if we look at economy here, we can definitely see that South Alabama is very, very comfortable in this position, with especially with Project and Chromie deciding to bonus off their Spectres as compared to Kings, which seems to be on more of a half buy. Bruno almost being caught out by Speed there, trying to hit his knife. It's be an incredibly hard push for South Alabama against a Brim. Those smokes last 30 seconds, and he has 3 of them. So, if they don't decide to get aggressive with it, they can essentially delay the site push for 1 minute and 30 seconds. But Speed able to get that pick on Brim and deny those smokes entirely. But Bruno able to trade Speed out quite quickly. Looks like Tyler is able to spot someone on the flank and quickly take down King Adap. Looks like Bubba here is trying to take a position, really deny any kind of push outside of A main, but it tends that South Alabama seems to be looking more towards this cat position. All 3 players of Kings Navy are now on that A site. They hear no more noise. So they begin to rotate, thinking that South Alabama has probably gone towards that B site, but they're still a little wary, and for good reason, because South Alabama has just completely faked this rotate, and they plan to re-hit that A site. It looks like Bubba suspects it a little bit and decides to hang around A for a little bit longer. That KO really reveals their plans, however, and they will get bombed down in time. No utility for retakes is just absolutely detrimental when you have 2 initiators trying to gain space. We're almost getting that pick onto Project there, but just narrowly missing his Bulldog.
Last player standing.
And Tyler and Project just working together there to take out every single one of the players dropping down from heaven one by one. Excellent play. Now we see that Tyler here is 8-1 already with 5 grand in the bank, full shields, and a Vandal. South Alabama's economy is looking very healthy. Their pushes are looking very healthy. They do seem to be delayed a little bit more than what we saw last game, with just those very quick on-site pushes within, 10-15 seconds of the round beginning. Now we're getting to those closer rounds. There's a couple seconds left before bomb needed to go down. Rand's knife able to deny that breach's utility altogether, but South Alabama doesn't look like they're pushing up quickly enough for it to matter. Jet in an incredible position, but looks like he's being sniffed out. It doesn't matter, he still gets a KO, but Kuromi is there to quickly trade him. Bubba showing what that concuss is for and taking out Mando, but Kuromi able to trade him out quite quickly. And Speed able to get the last pick from Bracana and seal around for South Alabama. Looking at ults here, it looks like we have a KO ult available for King's Navy here. Maybe to delay those pushes as much as possible, get those rotates coming in before South Alabama explodes onto site. And also with a weaker economy like we see here, we do have a jet ult for King's Navy. Hopefully we'll see that coming out. And only for South Alabama, we only have their KJ ult available. But I wonder if they'll use that towards a B push. But it seems like they're trying to focus on mid control here. King and Bat trying to go ahead and get a sneaky little updraft, but no one's peeking, and Speed is just there to shut them down on that cat position. Again, South Alabama just pushing up cat and tree completely for free. Mando getting a quick, clean headshot onto the stage. Leaving Bruno alone in his ult, getting an incredible pick back. Bruno trying to spray into hell to try and get that player off. South Alabama is well aware of these players' positions, able to pick up Bubba, hiding in tree, just triple swing Bruno. Like a 6-0 scenario here in favor of South Alabama with Speed now 11-2. Almost capped in money as well, but no one to buy for. Meanwhile, if we look at King's Navy, it looks like they're struggling a bit with their economy players, just barely able to get that full buy off, and Bruno deciding, you know what, I'm better with the Sheriff than a Spectre. So that's what I'll tend to go with, and Bubba with that infamous Guardian buy. And we'll see. I'm wondering if we'll get a KJ ult here. It is available in South Alabama. Looks to be swinging towards that B position. And it looks like we will. Absolutely getting a free sight here entirely. That Astra wall. Just blocking off any opportunities for the defenders to catch any hints of them. And that player over in hell for backside just wasn't able to get enough picks. Speed with a cheeky little peek there, able to pick off Bubba, but quickly being traded out by the Sage. Rand able to keep Bracana off guard, but Sage is there with the res. Bubba. Mando sneaking behind them, able to pick off the Sage. And the breach, but Rand's there peeking behind them, able to take out his double quite quickly. Was a more slow-paced round than we typically see. We saw those trades coming more incrementally than explosively like some other rounds. So it looks like King's Navy's starting to be able to read what South Alabama's strategies are, but it's very little benefit when those ults come out and those dangerous combos. That Astra Wall and KJ combo together was just almost unbeatable, almost always going to give South Alabama a sight for completely free. Looks like they're leaning more towards a full-man rush. That A-main Speed able to get that initial pick. So Sage just wasn't quite ready for the speed. Now we see those coordinated retakes from King's Navy that they're famous for.
Out of the target.
King and Bat trying to sneak through that cat position, but being taken down by KO, and goodness, those all three last kills on players done by Kuromi and Speed trying to get out in that heaven position just quickly shut down, and another round in South Alabama's favor. We got Speed and Rand here. I'm sorry to bring them up so frequently, but goodness, 15 and 3 and 12 and 2. Just absolutely stomping. But let's not forget about Project, able to hold those chamber trips, making sure no one's coming on flank when they anticipate it, as well as getting those picks where he's needed. Hasn't died yet, able to get those assists quite quickly. Kuromi, making sure that every single time that bomb goes down, that he is their insurance policy with those nades. Just every single player on South Alabama performing their job just beautifully. It looks like Kings Navy's a little tired of A being too free for South Alabama, deciding to get a 5-man it, but Tyler absolutely exploding from this cap position. While South Alabama has full control over B site, all 4 members of Kings Navy still stuck onto A, but Sage able to get a pick onto Tyler, denying any more. Looks like an even numbers situation, but 2 players in CT is going to be very difficult for Sage to be able to get anywhere close to site, and their Speed with a quick takedown. Looks like Jet is deciding to go for a long flank here, but he's going to meet quickly up with Breach, go through this B main position, which doesn't seem to be held very strongly, except by Project. Mando's spider senses are tingling, however. He will get a pick onto Breach as Project is able to take down their Jet. It's a 9-0 half for South Alabama. Goodness. Doesn't seem like South Alabama has really skipped a beat here. We haven't seen them down to 1 or 2 players quite yet. Really just completely showing how strong their attacking side is. And I mean, Speed being 16 and 4, almost never shut down his entry before his team goes through and is able to get those trades quite quickly. Looks like we see Bruno with a Bucky coming out. I haven't seen that one yet. And Bubba will follow him. Really hope we'll see some cheeky little Bucky kills here. A wall from Sage going down quite quickly, as well as being shut down through that KO knife. Speed able to get that first pick, and Tyler trying to get that free space that he normally gets on cap, but being quickly traded, but Mando able to get his teammate back. Speed's getting that pick on their smokes, and now 2v4 situation for King Navy. Oh, 1v4, Speed is able to get a pick onto the Breach, as well as the KO with the Bucky. I mean, there's not much to say. This is a very difficult situation for Kings Navy, as South Alabama just has too many different avenues that they're exploiting here. They've noticed that they have a lot of control of mid, and they're really abusing it. Able to get that cat quite quickly, able to push up and get those picks from unsuspecting rotating defenders. And I mean, it's just almost impossible to combat. I wonder if we'll see Kings Navy's Jet get any free damage off this airy play. Doesn't look like he'll do quite much. But Speed able to catch off Bruno, trying to lurk in that smoke. One quick thing that I'll note for Kings Navy is you'll see a lot of their smokes are pushed quite far out. That allows South Alabama to kind of sneak onto those sites and get those free picks quite quickly. South Alabama in a little bit of a tight situation here. They're in a 3v2, although they have numbers advantage. I mean, 1 pick and things are moving quite quickly. But Speed able to make it a 1v3 for Kings Navy. Not quite as even odds now, as Sage has very, very, very little time. Not enough utility. Able to get that initial pick on Speed, but I don't think he has time to get on site and defuse that bomb. Deciding to save as well, but South Alabama may lose a player to bomb here. And they do, Chroma falling to bomb, but Chamber being saved. I don't think losing a player to bomb at this point has very much effect, as now it's last round. You can see multiple players on South Alabama's side able to buy for their teammates. I'll just brush it off. Move on to the next. If we look at Kings Navy's economy, It's a little concerning. Most of them not having the money to buy for those full Vandals and Phantoms that we would like to see. But they're still able to get some guns going. South Alabama going for those Vandals and Phantoms, except for Rand and Odin. Trying to spray back. Defenders holding lane. Speed able to get the pick onto the opposing team's jet, as well as on the stage.
One enemy remaining.
Taking out Bubba as well. Brim fighting the world here. Speed able to get, I believe, his 4th pick of this round, and
Switching
we're at a
sides.
12-0
Match
half in
point.
South Alabama's favor. Speed almost at a 30 bomb at half point. 4 kills away. It's absolutely decimating.
Probably place some stars in the astral plane. I should.
Looking like we'll get this Asha aiming towards this A side. It looks like he'll
About there,
decide to put a one-way.
right there.
It looks like, as we expected, we have that KJ over on B side really holding down that lane position. But looks like we're also going to be putting our chamber on B side. B side will just be entirely impossible against 2 sentinels of this nature, especially when those sentinels are Kuromi and Project. That is not a site I would like to push. We do see Speed holding mid as usual. Tyler and his love of cat.
Spike down mid.
Incredible headshots coming out from Speed very, very quickly. We see these players kind of lost of what to do here in tiles, but Speed deciding to be aggressive anyways, able to get another pick on Brim. And another pick on Sage. I wonder if this will be Speed's ace, and it won't because Bruno is there to shut down South Alabama's top 2 players quite quickly. If you look at health and numbers advantage, both are in South Alabama's favor in this pistol round, however. Mando really deciding to anchor this A position, but King's Navy still looking to go towards this site with 2 sentinels. I really worry about how they'll be able to accomplish this, especially in a numbers disadvantage. So King and Bat and Bruno are trying to figure out what they want to do here. Grab bomb. They're very, very wary about someone holding
30
them in
seconds
mid.
left.
But little do they know, our players are much, much, much more stacked towards this B site. Kuromi's able to hear those players coming out of B main and call it to their team. Mando making sure to get that Astra Star up. And then we get the KJ setup coming out, able to take out that jet, just leaving Bruno to defend for himself. But Project will seal the deal, and we have a 13-0 game in South Alabama's favor, leaving us to have a 2-0 series, with South Alabama being the winners. I wanted to say congratulations to all the players that played today. Everyone did absolutely fantastically. And I know that South Alabama is very, very grateful to have had this opportunity to play against you guys. And we hope that we see more of you in the future.
All right, well, we just got butt
GGs
fucked.
and
Good
game,
job,
and
guys.
We'll be back.
Good
luck
Hey,
the rest of the
yo.
season.
Give you guys a player interview.
Good luck, y'all.
You guys are very good at the game. Thank you for playing.
Look at the monsters we've become. Look at the monsters we've become. Look at the monsters we've become.
And welcome back to our stream. We're here for player interviews, and we have the infamous USA Nerve here.
Thanks for having me.
How are you feeling after those wins?
Pretty good, to be honest. Yeah,
Yeah.
really hyped about it.
So, I mean, you played Fade on Bind, correct?
Yeah.
How comfortable do you feel playing Fade, especially when you have two initiators to work with?
Oh, very comfortable. I know the guys have my backs. When I'm playing back, I'm not really worried about anything.
And do you have any kind of insight onto how the comms were? I know that you guys were going fast. There were some rounds where you were on site, bomb was being planted within 15 seconds of the rounds beginning with. Were comms really hectic, or were you guys kind of used to this pacing?
There was one round where things got kind of hectic, but other than that, no, everything was pretty clear, cool, calm, and collected.
Mm-hmm. What would you say that if you were to play King's Navy again, do you guys think you would change anything about your strat, or you would just kind of run with the same thing?
I think we just run with the same thing.
Run with the same thing? I mean, I don't blame you. It seemed to work pretty well,
Yeah.
especially on Ascent. I mean, you guys were just rolling. Your attacking side is just very, very strong.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that your attacking side as a team is any better than your defense side, or do you think your defense side is pretty much equivalent? You just didn't have the chance to show it off as much.
I think just the speed that we can go at on attacking just makes a complete difference. But we're really good on defending too. but I think attacking is more our speed.
More your style. And I
Yeah.
mean, it definitely shows. It was almost impossible for Kings Navy to try and make any kind of counterplay, especially with how fast you guys were just. I mean, I kept saying this over and over again. You guys were just exploding on the site and just taking those picks very, very quickly and just kind of cornering everyone through 2 lanes that can't take on both of you at one time. It was very, very fun to
Yeah.
watch.
We have Sky and Fade for intel, so
Mhm.
it's just all about speed.
And then on your B site takes, I did notice that I think it was the Sky Dog up through that long position, and then you had Raise and Fade you, I believe, clearing out that hookah. Is that how it worked?
Viper was clearing out Hookah with,
Oh, okay.
with Race.
Yeah. Did you feel more comfortable attacking on that B side or that A side? What do you think is your strong point as a team?
I think B is definitely our strong suit, especially
Mhm.
mine. I'm just better with the Fade Eye lineup,
Mhm.
but I think we're pretty comfortable in B.
And I don't have very many questions for you. So is there anything that you want to say about the games? How did you feel? What do you think you guys might take from it or learn?
Well, Davis before the game even started said if we drop rounds, that's going to be added on to practice. So
So y'all were afraid. Y'all weren't willing to drop
we
around.
got 2 extra days of practice.
As you should. Got to make sure you can't drop around against anyone. Keep up
Absolutely.
that 13-0 record. But
Mhm.
I mean, congratulations to your team in its entirety. You guys have not dropped a single game yet in any series, just taking home a 2-0 after 2-0 after 2-0. Do you think you'll be able to keep up this momentum all season?
I 100% believe that we will be able to keep this lead.
I mean, I hope so. And I mean, it was great games, and I say GGs to both Kings Navy and every single one of South Alabama's players. This is a very, very fun game to watch, and I'm very, very appreciative to all the players that volunteered their time to, represent their schools and compete against one another and to be good sports about everything. So, I mean, that's all I have to say. Is there anything you want to say, Connor?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, GGs, and I hope everyone has a good night.
GG's.